Hey everyone, welcome to Underground Scholars Winter 21 podcast series, a podcast about elevating our formerly incarcerated and system impacted scholars' stories. You'll get the chance to listen to our members and advocates supporting USI 3 pillars through recruitment, retention, and advocacy. My name is Marisa Lopez, but you can call me Ritz. I'll be your host for Winter 21 USI podcast series. In today's episode, you'll get to hear Sheila Bravo. Sheila Bravo is a UCLA undergrad student, as well as a STOM coordinator at UCLA, and lastly is a USI member who identifies herself as system impacted. You get to learn more about what system impacted means as we dive into Sheila's story. So welcome her.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Sheila Karina Bravo Luna. I came, my CC is El Camino College. I transferred to UCLA and I am majoring in sociology, also majoring in Chicano, and Central American studies. Let me see. How I got into USI. USI wasn't something that I knew of, honestly. I think I got more into it during like the transfer fair before transfers. We SRI, we go into this transfer fair and we see like what the universities have in store for us. So I saw this booth and it was USI, and I still remember, I believe, if I'm not wrong, Javier was one of the members there. And I was kind of like, all these buff guys are in this tent, and I'm just kind of like, what am I gonna do? Like, you get me? Like, and I was like, okay. So I learned a little bit more of it. Like, they told us, signed up for the emails and everything. And then when I came to campus as a transfer, already admitted, me and my friend from like community college, she ended up telling me about it. And then she ended up telling me that there was going to be a meeting, like the first meeting of core fall. And we just we ended up going, and I found community here. So I found it because of a friend, thankfully. And I feel like it's been such a good experience, and it's been such a good support group for us just for the transfers. But also, you have your people there. And I don't regret, I don't regret getting involved. I don't regret, being scared in the beginning, because I think that's what kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone. Just because at the end of the day, you don't know what's in store for you when you take opportunities. But I'm glad, I connected with these people, and here I am being involved, and trying to advocate for people of the community.
Yeah, just for folks who are listening to this podcast, Javier Rodriguez is one of the co-founders of USI. So hopefully we get the chance to interview him as well in a couple of upcoming episodes. But I want to ask you in particular, like, yeah, besides seeing the booth and Javier there, what made you stay? You get me? Do you identify yourself formerly incarcerated, system impacted, or an advocate?
Okay, so I would probably put myself as system impacted, but also as just like an advocate. I believe, growing up in South Central, I know today they say like it isn't what it was before, and I believe it isn't. But you still have the same trauma, you still have the same things going on as before. So being in middle school, I saw a lot of my friends get locked up just because they were trying to find homes, not because they weren't giving those homes at home. And sometimes bad decisions will put them in the incarceration system. But I also saw that plea of help. um they were asking for help, not asking, but you grow up and you see people going through shit, and then my bad, but you see people going through things, and then it's kind of like, fuck, you want to help them, but there's so much things that a little sixth, seventh grader could do at that time. Like, you can't really do much for your friends. Like, you could provide a home for them for some time, but other than that, there's not much you could do. And I think seeing one of my close friends get locked up, it hurt me a lot. And I just saw how education wasn't giving them an opportunity, and I felt like education should have done more for them. And thankfully they just got released last year, so from middle school to now. So it's just like, I think it hurt me. And at the end of the day, it was like my community, my friend, And I try to advocate, because at the end of the day, we go to education, we go to these places because they're supposed to be safe. And yeah, they're supposed to teach us, but I believe that they should be giving something more to the people of those communities. Just because you could have straight out seen, like, if I was an adult, I would have helped my friend out, giving him resources and everything. But people were just like, oh, he's with bad groups, oh, he's just influenced already. Like, there's not much you could do. And that's what sucks at the end of the day, that like, you just grow up and, like, you see your friends, like, fall into these spaces that you as, like, a youngster, you already know that that's not right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. And just to kind of give a little more context for folks who don't know what system impacted is, um, we're so happy that Berkeley has a language and terminology guide on their website. But just for folks' sakes to learn what it is, system impacted includes those who have been incarcerated, those with arrest slash convictions but no incarceration, and those who have been directly impacted by a loved one being incarcerated. While those too close to us, as well as the broader society, and negatively impacted by incarceration, it is often our partners, parents, children, and or siblings who face those most significant disadvantages behind our absence and thus categorically merit the designation. So, Shayla, you did mention about your friend, um, being incarcerated from middle school to like, your years in college, which can be like, I don't want to do the math here because I know I'm not good at it, but you and I are around, the same age. So middle school back in 2013, 2012, and we're in 2021 now. So that's a pretty far long time. So I'm happy that you still stayed connected with your friend. I think building that bridge, building that bond. Somehow it's just very interesting where we connect with other folks. Is there anything you want to tell folks who might not come from our communities, or anyone who's listening to this podcast who's also like system impacted, also who has like a loved one who's like formerly incarcerated or is currently incarcerated, like what would your message or motivation to them be?
I'd say, just coming from these groups, I feel like we're very stigmatized. Like, they say sometimes, like, they'll be like, oh, well, those persons, like your loved ones or the people that were impacted, were there for a reason. But at the end of the day, you have to know that it was also factors already in place for people like us, people of brown skin, people of dark skin, to be in these spaces. And sometimes actions that we believe were right at the time don't lead us to good places. And you will hear the stigmas and them saying, like, oh, like, they deserve to be there, or, like, they didn't do good. And sometimes you'll find yourself being like, are they right? Or, like, sometimes you question it too, and you can't believe, like, what's happening to people that you love. But I believe that at the end of the day, you love that person and you're there for that person. And don't believe them. Like, I would just say, like, fight for their rights. They're inside the system right now. You have to fight, you have to advocate for people like them and people of the community, just because we have that privilege. We're in these spaces where we're being taught, but we also have to teach people who are teaching of the problems, of, like, the factors already in place, of everything. Because at the end of the day, you have to get it out there that sometimes it's not even you're looking for it. Sometimes it's like it's looking for you. Like, even when you grow up, like, there's already data out there that states that people who read from, like, lower grade than what they are, or people who are doing bad in school, already have, like, they don't even have an education fund put for them, but already the prison system already counts them as one of their future inmates. And it's like, what? Like, you can't even be giving that money for, like, to fund them, but you'll fund their incarceration, which is $1,000 more, but you can't help provide that education for them, and can't help provide those resources that will help them not land in those places anymore. It's bullcrap, honestly, and it's bullshit. So at the end of the day, um it's like, know that you, as a voice, as an ally, as any other, like, just help, you'll be resourceful. Because at the end of the day, these people in these places are one of the smartest people you'll ever meet. Like, you get me? Like, sometimes they can't advocate themselves because sometimes they're still locked up. And at the end of the day, if they are, you advocating for them and you being in the spaces helps you get resources for them while they're in there, but it also helps you get resources for when they're out, and you have that education to help them. And you pass it on. And if you ever feel like in these spaces, reach out to USI. We have organizations, reach out to other places that help, um homeboys, homeboys industries and all that. I feel like these places, there's limited resources, but they do a lot for the community. And you just as an advocate, and systemically impacted, just try to get the best support to give that support to your loved ones that are incarcerated, because at the end of the day, when they get back, you want to not teach them, but you want to help them. You want them to be like, yeah, like, you just want to support.
During the last month, our communities have been vigorously discussing and taking steps to make sure that our schools are eliminating barriers and providing the support and opportunities that will ensure the empowerment and success of students of color and other marginalized groups. We are here sharing this statement to acknowledge our brothers and sisters who are currently incarcerated. We also want to acknowledge our formerly incarcerated brothers and sisters who have not yet shared their stories. We're hoping to elevate our Black, Indigenous, people of color, formerly incarcerated students hustle. So, interested in collaborating, having general questions, please feel free to reach out our program's email at undergroundscholars@saonet.ucla.edu. That's all for now, folks. But I'll see you in the next episode of Underground Scholars.